Hello, and welcome to another edition of The Gist. I am your host, Chris Vetrano, here to break down all the things happening in pop culture this week. And so glad you're back with me because this week we've got a lot to discuss. Before we do, quick note, I did come down with a bit of a head cold off of the excitement of last week and the official announcement of the podcast. Don't worry, I don't have COVID, so don't cry for me, Argentina. I will be fine. But if you hear a little congestion in my voice, that's what's going on. But we're going to get right to it because, like I said, so much going on. First of all, Oscar nominations announced this week. A couple of surprises. Tom Cruise not up for Best Actor. Of course, his role in Maverick, the sequel to Top Gun, the film itself was nominated for Best Film. People thought he would definitely be a shoo-in for Best Actor, but he was not. Another snub coming out of the Oscar nominations, Taylor Swift. And guys, if you're not a Swift fan and you don't disagree with the Academy on this decision, I'd steer clear of Twitter because Swifties are going wild. Her film, or her short film for All Too Well, the 13-minute version of her song that she released, had tons of buzz. People thought this was Taylor's opportunity to get well on her way to the EGOT. And we thought she was going to deliver an Oscar-worthy performance of this, of this song that people just have a cult following for. And unfortunately, she did not get the nomination when they were announced this week. So, like I said, steer clear of the Swifties this week. They're going through it. Also surprising, I was really surprised by Ana de Armas getting a Best Actress nomination. Okay, guys, if you have not seen the film Blonde, where Anna, of course, plays Marilyn Monroe, but the whole thing is just so confusing. First of all, I'm a huge Marilyn Monroe fan. I definitely am fascinated by anything to do with her life. So I couldn't wait to see the film, only to find out that the film is, while it's inspired by Marilyn's story, none of it is actually really factual. And they take a lot, and I'm saying a lot, of liberties to make the film really dark. So the film itself was not something that I ever am recommending to anyone. But Anna herself, no, she could not pull it off. She couldn't lose her accent. And so while she's a beautiful woman and a very talented actress, she's no Marilyn Monroe. So I don't know what the Academy was thinking here. What are your guys' thoughts on the Oscar nominations? Sound off in the comments because I am very curious. And of course, we will be covering the show when it airs. Jimmy Kimmel is hosting again, so we will be there to tune in. Okay, a couple of other quick hits happening in entertainment. Gossip Girl, the reboot, of course. I'm talking about the HBO Max version that was rebooted in 2021, has been canceled at HBO Max after 2 seasons. So our hearts are going out to Kristen Bell, who will forever be our Gigi. But yeah, Gossip Girl has been canceled. It was a bit of a surprise, but also HBO Max has been on kind of a firing spree with their shows. They've been doing a lot of cancellations, mostly in the younger demographic. So I guess Gossip Girl falls into that, even though this version on HBO Max is definitely more sexy and adult than the original back in 2007. That aired on the CW, with, of course, Blake Lively and Leighton Meester and Gigi himself, Penn Badgley. But yeah, the new one, R.I.P. Also this week, the Scream 6 trailer was released. Of course, the film comes out March 10th. Neve Campbell is not back. Jenna Ortega is in the film. Of course, with some of our other favorite Scream characters, Courtney Cox will be returning as Gale Weathers. And I am a huge Scream fan. It was one of these films or film franchises that I got into when I was growing up. And I love them. So I'm going to definitely see it. We'll definitely be talking about it. We might do a bit of a deep dive on slasher films on the podcast in an upcoming episode, because I think that, there's so much that these films have given to pop culture and pop culture moments. And so excited to talk about that. In other movie news, the Madonna biopic, which I was interested because we had some big names attached to it. Julia Garner was, of course, cast to be Madonna. And Diablo Cody was tapped to be writing the film. Madonna herself was going to be directing, which was a bit of a uneasy decision. I was nervous about how that was going to play out, but I do want to see a Madonna biopic. So I was excited about it. I couldn't wait to hear more and start seeing, photos from the set. But the film was scrapped. Madge announced this week that she's focused on her upcoming tour. Of course, I'm talking about the Celebration tour, and that she just doesn't have time, but that she is dedicated to telling her story of her life in a film in the future. So something tells me that there was more that happened behind the scenes there, but we will not get to see Julia Garner playing Madonna. What else? Kelly Clarkson, she is promising that her new album is coming after, a kind of a start-stop. She announced an album and then a Vegas residency, and then COVID hit and everything kind of went dark from her music career. Obviously, she's still thriving in everything else that she's doing, especially in those Wayfair ads. Get it, girl. And I can't wait for more Kelly music. She obviously also went through and announced her divorce during the time, so I feel like this is going to be a darker album. She has said that, some of the songs she felt like nervous to release because of the content of them and how painful and personal they actually are. So, but she did take to her socials, which she doesn't do often, to announce that and promise her fans that the music and the album was coming this year. So I can't wait. And if you know me, you know that I'm a huge Kelly Clarkson stan. So we will be doing a full Kelly Clarkson episode coming up in one of our deep dive diva episodes. So be on the lookout for that. We'll probably do that around the time of her album. And then also this week, or this last weekend, Aubrey Plaza and Sam Smith were on SNL. I'm just putting this as a note. Aubrey Plaza can do no wrong. She is like my new queen. I love everything that she's doing. I'm going and watching like all of her old interview clips. She's wacky. She's wild. She has like such a cool story too. She used to be a page at NBC. She worked on the set of SNL before she was an actress. And so it was a real cool thing to see her live her dream on that stage, hosting the show after her history there. And then Sam Smith, of course, delivered Unholy with a, I guess, surprise performance or surprise appearance from Kim Petras, who popped out under Sam's skirt for her verse. And Sharon Stone made a random cameo in his second performance. So if you haven't checked out the episode, might be worth a watch. And then also announced this week, Panic at the Disco is calling it quits. So, of course, I think people are a little confused about this announcement because some people are saying that Panic at the Disco has broken up. Panic at the Disco is really only one person. Brendan Urie is the only remaining member of the band, or of the project, I should say. But he announced that he's calling it quits with Panic at the Disco to focus on becoming a father. And I imagine that he'll probably just go solo. I know that there's been a lot of confusion as the original members of Panic at the Disco had left and departed the band before, and it now being just Brendan. I think there's been a lot of unsure where to put him as an artist when it comes time for award ceremonies and things like that, because he ultimately is a solo artist. I think focusing on a father, or focusing as a father, is the right thing to do, and we wish him well. All right, what else? We are, I guess, I'm not going to go through all of the Real Housewives. We didn't have a Salt Lake City episode in the last week. We did have Miami, but I felt like, Miami's always delivering, so there's never really filler episode, but not a ton to unpack there. The Potomac episode, though, was pretty wild. A lot of accusations coming to light, things we've been talking about for years. Juan Dixon, of course, Robin's husband, accused of having an affair with a Karen lookalike. If you haven't seen the drawing, it's incredible. the sketch artist of what Juan Dixon's accused girlfriend might look like. But this came out after a lot of other news was happening around Juan Dixon and some scandals that are happening in his employment. But I didn't find it that surprising that as the episode aired, Juan and Robin also announced that they secretly got married. And so it seems a little suspect. We've been talking for 2 seasons about this engagement and about them getting married. And by the way, this is them getting married for the second time. So it's been a little bit interesting to see it all kind of play out. But Juan, it was accused of having an affair, and then immediately following the episode, they made this big announcement that they were married. So congrats to them. Also, in retaliation of Karen making that accusation, of course, now Robin is showing her receipts about Karen's blue-eyed boyfriend who she's having an affair with. She showed the cast a photo of what appears to be Karen. I guess it was just of a woman's back, but it appears to look like her ass. I don't know. And she was with a man in a Redskins outfit. And it's apparently this person that for the last few seasons, people have rumored that that Karen has this blue-eyed boyfriend. And so they're saying that that's who that is, and that was proof. I don't know what's happening with these ladies and their relationships in Potomac, but man, it's wild. And it also makes sense as to why they're all constantly fighting, because they're all in really toxic relationships, it seems. So, it makes for great TV, but I hope that they, figure out some of their personal stuff. And then also this week, the reunion was filmed. I think the biggest news is that Candace was not sitting next to Andy. And that's a crime. We should do a whole deep dive criminal investigation into why Candace was not sitting next to Andy. She is the queen of that show. She is the one that is delivering beyond delivering. And of course, we get that there is like a hierarchy, and Karen and Giselle are seated firmly at the top of that hierarchy, but Candace is coming for that crown. And at one of the days, this needs to be her moment to sit next to Andy. So Twitter was ablaze about that as well. What else? So I did a poll online to see if I should watch Traitors, because I'm not a big gamer. I don't watch Survivor or Big Brother or any of those shows. But of course, Brandi Glanville and Kate Chastain and Reza, there was some, Bravo characters that were popping up on this show. And so I was a little interested to see what it was. And I've never run a poll where it was a landslide. This was 100% of people that took the poll said that I should watch it. And now I understand why. I raced through that show in like 2 days over the weekend. It was so good. I can't believe, if you're not watching it, you should, because it is so interesting. The premise of it is, it's this kind of like Clue-like whodunit murder mystery, and everybody's like deceiving each other. And it's so entertaining because it's something so unique and different. And like I said, I don't watch Big Brother and I don't watch Survivor. And I know that some of that same kind of like concept plays out, but the way in which this came to be was really great. I cannot stand Rachel from Big Brother. She was definitely not on my radar, and I don't want to see any more of her on TV. But since this is a fairly new show and the entire series is available on Peacock, I won't spoil too much of it, because I do think that you guys should go watch it. But I will say Brandi Glanville and Kate Chastain are incredible television. Kate revealed that there was a spinoff in the works for the two of them before she announced her pregnancy. So I'm really hoping that that happens because they need to be on television together. And Kate Chastain in general is also my queen. I feel like I've said that there's a lot of queens. Kelly Clarkson's my queen, Madonna's my queen, Candace is my queen, but Kate Chastain is a queen and she needs to be on TV more. So we've got to figure that out. But yeah, I'm super happy that I watched that. I think one of the biggest takeaways that I had from that show that will not be a spoiler is that none of these people can spell. I don't know if you guys, for those of you that have watched it, whenever they're doing the banishing around the round table, they're all spelling each other's names in the like craziest ways. It's like the name is Rachel and you've got like 4 Z's in it. It's like I've never seen Kyle spelled with an X. Like it's the weirdest thing. None of them know how to spell each other's names and they have to turn their card and show the person whose name it is that they voted for them. And by the way, they don't know how to spell their name. It's so wild. So if you're not watching Traitors or if you haven't watched Traitors, definitely get on that. And then last, I think before we, part where I watched the premiere of Real Friends of WeHo this week, and WeHo No You Didn't should have been the title because no. Guys, this overall, the whole thing was just a watered down version of a wannabe housewives show for gay men, which I guess ultimately is what they sold us that it was going to be. But this is like, it just went all wrong. It was, I don't even know, because Brad Goreski, like, I'm glad that he's back. I'm a big fan of Brad. I think that he's a good casting choice for a quality show that could have actually been kind of this like cool gay version or male version of Housewives. But like none of the stuff around him makes any sense. And this knee-high socks and lipstick look that he's rocking in the confessionals, it's too much. He's a stylist and they made him look like a clown. And quite frankly, he doesn't fit in with the rest of this group and he isn't friends with these people. And that's ultimately, I think, what happened here is that none of these people have a genuine connection. The drama feels really forced. And then they've added this element where they like talk about how they're like on a show and you see cameras like at a party, you're like seeing the cameras all around them. And so they're like trying to break the fourth wall, but they're doing it in a way that's just like proving that it's really artificial. So I don't know. It's really strange. Todrick Hall is on the show. All he's trying to do is clean up his image after being canceled. I mean, Brad has clearly like been brought in to bring Todrick back. It's a bit strange, guys. It's just, it doesn't play. It's like, I don't see these two people really kikiing and having a great time. They just feel on different levels. Brad is certainly too mature for a Todrick Hall. And I don't know, that played out really weird. Then Curtis Hamilton is another one of the characters. Curtis has been in a lot of roles, but most famously in Insecure with Issa Rae, who is in the first scene with him. And then we find out that he's like not even out. So this was his way of coming out, but he's wearing like a blazer with no shirt on under it. And it's like, they've really gayed him up. And it's like, well, if you want us to believe that you've been playing a straight guy, like you got to look that part maybe before, or maybe we need to see you actually coming out. Maybe that's more interesting. But even like, he has this conversation with Issa Rae where he's telling her like, oh girl, I know that when I told you I was doing this show that you were like, why are you doing a show like this? And it's like, he's already talking about how he's above the show, which is problematic. Like, if you don't want to be on the show, then don't be on the show. Then we go to James, and this is Jonathan Bennett's husband. Jonathan Bennett, of course, is from Mean Girls. He's the love interest of both Regina and Lindsay Lohan. Cady Heron, sorry, I said Regina, but Rachel McAdams and Lindsay Lohan's characters. So he's, a staple. People love him. and he came out. And so now he's kind of someone that the gays have claimed as their own, with this huge cult following of Mean Girls. But James just kept talking about how, like, this is what it's like to be Jonathan Bennett's husband. And as Jonathan Bennett's husband, I'm doing this and I do that. And I'm like, does he do anything else? Because I didn't catch it. Like, I think that he's just clearly riding the coattails of his husband. And all of his scenes have just been about his husband and how his role revolves around him. And it's just very, very strange. And then you go to Dorian Renaud, who is like the business and brains of the show. Like, he has a successful business, but I didn't really understand why. He seems very unhappy to be there. First of all, he's like got instant stink face. The whole thing at the end of the first episode is that he is talking about how he has social anxiety and he doesn't feel like he gets along with anyone in the cast. And since COVID, he doesn't know how to talk to people. But then, so maybe that's part of what we're seeing. But he also just comes across as like, I don't want to be here because he talks about the paparazzi following him and that he needs bodyguards wherever he goes because he's a successful CEO. And it's like, okay, then you also probably shouldn't have been on this show if you are this above it. And so again, doesn't play. And then the last one is Joey, who is, I guess, an influencer. I have never heard of him, but man, the guy has the whitest teeth I've ever seen. And he mentioned at the beginning when he's first introduced that he's a playboy and that he's Joey the playboy, Joey that goes on a lot of dates, Joey with the big dick, Joey this, Joey that. And then his whole storyline is that he met the love of his life and that he's engaged. And that then they're like having an engagement party and talking about getting married. And I'm like, so not a playboy anymore. You're not that Joey. I don't know who you are. And again, okay, so guys, I've run through the entire cast. And if you couldn't tell, no. I'm not recommending the watch. I might watch it another episode just to see if we get legs. But I also found out that it only has like 6 episodes. So it's like, I don't know where we're going to go. This all just feels way too made up and there's nothing authentic or real about it. So it definitely should not have been called Real Friends of WeHo because there's nothing real. These are not friends. So WeHo, no, you didn't. Okay. And that's that. And so, guys, that's the gist on what's happening this week. Like I said, a short episode. I'm going to go nurse my head cold that I have right now and hopefully come back stronger than ever next week. But don't forget to rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode of The Gist. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at CMVetrano. I also just joined TikTok, so find me there. And of course, tune in next week when we're going to break down even more that's happening in pop culture. Thanks so much for listening, and I'm Chris Vetrano. Have a great week.